Hey guys, coming in with me another movie review for guys, and this movie we're reviewing I've wanted to watch for a very long time. I wanted to see this in theaters, but unfortunately it's quickly left theaters and wasn't in 3D anymore, and I figured if I can't see this in IMAX 3D, there's no point in seeing this movie in theaters. So I was basically forced to watch it on Solar Movie. It's probably not the best movie to watch on Solar Movie, but I watched it anyway. I started watching it Thanksgiving. I didn't get a chance to finish it till now, and that movie is The Walk. The Walk was honestly one of my most anticipated movies for the rest of the year. I was really looking forward to it just from that trailer. I mean, if you guys remember that really thrilling trailer of him, just walking up that building on the wire, not knowing what he's going to do. I mean, it was a really thrilling trailer, and I was really hoping the movie was going to be a very thrilling film, and, it really had a lot of things looking forward to, the directing between who was in it, things like that. So I was definitely looking forward to The Walk. And after watching The Walk, what did I think of this movie? Honestly, I was a bit disappointed by The Walk, because while I think The Walk is very thrilling at points, for the most part, I honestly could never see myself watching this movie again. I really couldn't. I'm going to say that right now, and I'll get into why. But first, let's get to the plot of The Walk, which the plot of The Walk really doesn't start till, I'd say, 40 minutes into the movie. That's really when the initial plot of this movie starts. Basically, our main character here is Philippe Petit, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He is this French street performer who basically is obsessed with wire walking. Everyone has a passion in his life, and his passion is wire walking. He is obsessed with it. He finds real art and beauty in it, and one day he really wants to do something big. He wants to do something that shows the real beauty in what he's trying to do. He's trying to do all these different things. It just doesn't seem to be working. And one day he sees an ad, a picture of the Twin Towers in New York City. This is back in 1973, by the way. Sees a picture of the Twin Towers in New York City, and he decides to make it his mission to basically attach a tightrope between the two buildings of the Twin Towers, and basically he's going to walk across it, and that basically is the plot of the movie. So, very thrilling plots. Problem with this movie is that it really it's not just that plot. I'll get into that. So there are a lot of things to like about this movie, but there are a lot of things I didn't like about this movie, and I'll get into what I didn't like and some of the things that I really didn't think worked in this movie. What really worked for me well was the acting here. The acting was definitely something I was really looking forward to. However, I was a bit worried about Joseph Gordon-Levitt, just knowing that he had this accent. I really know if he was gonna be able to pull it off. And surprisingly, he's one of the best things about the movie. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt just really commanded this role very well. I mean, there were a lot of times where I forgot that was Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I really believe this was Philippe Petit, and he did a very good job, really getting lost into this role, and I thought was really great overall. I definitely really liked his passion in this movie. My problem with his character is that he has a passion for wire walking, and they really focus on it a ton. And the problem is, I can't relate to said passion. Everyone has a passion, but I really can't relate to said passion. So all the scenes of him talking about wire walking and how great it is, I'm like, that's fine. I'm glad you like wire walking, but I just can't really relate to it. And I found those scenes to be quite boring. They also do this thing in the movie where Philippe Petit, throughout the entire movie, narrates to you what's going on, and I really felt this was a problem because it really, showed us that, oh yeah, he is gonna be okay. He is gonna survive on this wire, and I thought that was really annoying because I wanted to have some uncertainty. I didn't want to know if he was gonna live. I didn't want to know what was gonna happen to him, and you really didn't get that with that narration. It really kind of ruined some things for me, but I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt definitely did a very good job. Not as good as I thought he was going to do, but I definitely think he was very good. I like Philippe Petit's eccentric way of living. I thought that was very interesting. I definitely liked the way he looked at things. Ben Kingsley, on the other hand, I thought he was really good as Papa Rudy. Nothing really that special about him. I thought he was okay. He was a good character, but really there's not much to say. And then the only other character we have is Charlotte Le Bon as Annie, which surprisingly is a large focus of this movie. The second half of this movie is really a love story between Philippe and Annie, and it's really not, I don't think, that interesting. I get that Annie is supposed to be the first person that really understands Philippe, or as he calls them, his accomplices, as he calls them, because they really like his passion, they understand his passion, I get that, and I really like the relationship. I just found it very one note. I found it like she just really wanted wants him to do this very well. She really supports him. I just didn't find her to have much of a character, and I didn't really find any of the other characters that interesting. The acting was okay in this movie. The acting is really not the strong point in this movie, though, and that's one of the things that's the problem with this movie, because this movie is very heavy dialogue driven, and when the acting isn't absolutely amazing, that definitely is a problem for me, because I didn't find it as great as it could have been, because I didn't find the acting anything that amazing. I thought Joseph Gordon-Levitt, like I said, was good. I just didn't find the acting that amazing. The directing for Robert Zemeckis, I thought he had a really good established tone of what he wanted to do. There were just a lot of tonal shifts in this movie that I really didn't like. The first half of this movie is really an origin story, then it turns to a romance, and then it finally turns into the heist movie we've been waiting it to turn into. And I really felt not all three of those halves went together. The first two halves of this movie, I was bored. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I really was not into the first two halves of this movie. And it's not because of the direction, it's mainly just because the way the story was done. They act as if wire walking is something that a lot of people can relate to, and they talk endless about it. There's so much about, oh, we need to have the proper wires and things like that, or oh, I'm not a circus clown. I get that he had certain types of beauty, but again, I can't relate to this passion, so I can't really get into it. It was very hard to get into this story at first. It really was, because they focused so much on the wire walking and less of just the passion. If this movie would have just been about his passion and, what he cared about, that could have been really interesting. Problem is, I just didn't find his story all that interesting till we really got to the central conflict. That's when I thought the movie got really interesting. Because I've seen so many movies where you have someone that's not really well respected or something like that, and this movie acts as if it's something new, and it's really not. I've seen that a million times, and it's really nothing all that new, and I was a bit disappointed by that, definitely. I didn't find the dialogue all that interesting as well. I do have to say, I thought the dialogue was not that interesting. I thought the dialogue is very just like, okay. My other thing is, because of that narration in this movie, we don't really get to see a lot of other, people's views on Philippe Petit. I mean, he was a very eccentric man. A lot of people thought he was going to fall. And if you saw in the trailer, you're thinking, oh, we're going to see a lot of, reactions to what he's doing. We do, but they're very much from his eyes. We don't really get to see a lot of people talk about him. There's not a single scene in this movie where Philippe Petit is not included. There's not a single scene like that. I honestly would have wanted to see some scenes of people being like, who the hell does this guy think he is? Or just talking about how weird he is and how we can't really relate to that. Just showing that he has a very strange passion, and I think the movie showed that, but I just don't really feel it was executed that well because of that narration. It really ruined some of the movie for me. I really didn't feel like that narration needed to be there. I don't know what the point of it was. And I was definitely a bit disappointed by that. Oh, I forgot to say, though, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I did like how, if you guys don't know, he did meet with the real Philippe Petit, who actually taught him, how to walk on a wire and things like that. I thought that was really great. I definitely enjoyed that. And let me say this, once we get to the third act of this movie, when we finally get him walking on that wire and that starts, it's very, very thrilling. In fact, it's probably one of the most insane climaxes I've seen all year. It's such a great climax. You don't know what's going to happen. There's so much uncertainty. I mean, just one step and he could fall. Just knowing that one step, he could take one step and he could fall. It's very thrilling to think about. The problem is the build up to the movie is just not that interesting, and I want to be a lot more into the story than I essentially was. I found myself a lot of times just looking at other things, staring at other, looking up other things on my computer, because I just wasn't that interested in the story and really just wanted to get into the real meat of the story and less of just the build up. I didn't really need that. Let me say this, the cinematography of this movie is fantastic. It's some of the best of the year. It looks fantastic. The scenes on the wire are thrilling as hell. You don't know what's going to happen. I thought they were very well handled, and I definitely really like that. They really captured the city landscape very well. You felt like you were in the 70s, definitely felt like you were in that time period. I thought they used the music very well, and I thought the cinematography and the sets as well were very, very good. The sets in the beginning really aren't that appealing. They're nothing that great, but I definitely felt towards the end of the movie, that's really when it started to get great, and I really love that, I have to say. Like I said, the third act of this movie really is something incredible. I mean, that's when you start to see people going against Philippe, not knowing if this is going to work. There's a lot of uncertainty. People are quitting on him. You really see that passion that he has. You really see that no matter what happens, he's going to do this. No matter how many people tell him don't do this, he's going to do it, and I was so surprised to see that he did that, and I thought that was very well done. That's something I definitely love seeing seeing in the movie, and I thought they handled that part of the movie very, very well. Something else I really do want to commend, and probably the best thing about the movie, in my opinion, is the score to this movie by Alan Silvestri. Holy shit, the score was so good, especially in the end. I mean, the score was just so great there. He does a lot of the scores for Robert Zemeckis' films, and I think honestly he should get I think it's Oscar worthy. Honestly, his score was really great. It really commanded the movie. I was into it. It kept me invested in the story. I definitely loved his score. One of the best things about the movie by far was the score, and I definitely really loved it. The editing, however, like I said, is very choppy. There were a lot of scenes I felt could have been taken out. I thought this movie was way too long. It could have been a lot shorter than it was, and especially the beginning. You could have cut down so much of the exposition in the first act of this movie so that we really could have gone to the main plot and focused more on it. And it's not that they didn't focus too much, and they didn't focus enough on it. I think they focused, plenty on it. I think they showed enough focus on it. It's just I really could never see myself watching this movie again because of those first two halves. I wish I could say, yes, I will watch this movie again, or yes, I did enjoy the first two halves, but I'm not gonna lie, you guys, I found them quite boring. I found them not that interesting. I found myself keep checking the time, seeing when the movie's over, and every time we cut to something where he's walking on a wire, or he's talking about having the proper wire, or what this means to him, or things like that, I was just like, can we just get to what I want to see because I'm bored right now? I found it very boring. Again, I'm not going to lie. I found it very boring here, and I wish it could have been a bit more interesting. I just feel like the stakes also, you don't really feel like the stakes are that high until the third act of this movie when it really turns into a heist film. The movie really is like a heist film because he's doing things that really aren't safe. It's not necessarily illegal, it's just not something that should ever happen. I mean, this is a Twin Towers. This is a big building. This is, of course, before 9/11, so there's that too, and I thought that was very good. Just the stakes there are very thrilling, and has a very thrilling climax, and the ending of this movie as well, I really liked. Thought the ending was really great here. I really felt like, Philippe accomplished something. I am gonna say that yes, he does accomplish it because, you guys probably know from the first scene of the movie that he accomplishes it because it's a narration. You guys know that, but you really do feel that accomplishment. You really feel happy from it. I thought they handled that all very, very well. But overall, guys, like I said, was quite disappointed with The Walk. I wanted this movie to be a lot more than it was. The third act of this movie, like the last 30 or to 20 to 30 minutes, I thought were very thrilling. I was very into it. But other than that last half, I really could never see myself watching this movie again. And I recommend you guys don't see it in 3D. I recommend you check it out, definitely, but it's really not for anyone. Unless you have, like, a real passion for wire walking for whatever reason, or you've watched the documentary. Definitely, if you watch the documentary, I think you're really going to love this movie. I will definitely say that, because there are times when this does feel like a documentary, which I definitely appreciated. It's just, as a whole, I just didn't find the movie as interesting as I wanted to be, and because of that, I am going to give The Walk a 3.5 out of 5, or a B, simply because of the third act. I was this close to giving it a C+. I really wasn't. If that third act would not have been as great as it was, I would have given this movie a C+. I would have said this movie really wasn't that great, forget about it, and I'm a bit disappointed that I really didn't like it as much as I did. I really felt this was going to be the comeback movie for Robert Zemeckis, and while I think he's, because he hasn't done a live-action movie since Flight, and while I think this was a very, enjoyable movie at points, I just found many times for this movie to be very boring and definitely dragged, and I really wasn't as into it as I wanted to be. But overall, guys, this is my review of The Walk. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. You have seen it, and I will see you guys in the next video, which, guys, I'm dreading my next review because I am going to watch a bad movie. I think I need to watch some more movies so I can make the best, worst list possible. I know the next movie I'm going to watch is going to be terrible, but I'm going to watch it anyway. I don't think anyone on YouTube's really reviewed the next movie I'm going to review, so that's another reason why I want to review it. But I will see you guys in the next video, which will be from another movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.